Going beyond the headlines. Asking the questions you want answered. Exploring government policies and how they impact you. We are delving deeper.
Good evening and welcome to Delving Deeper. I'm your host, Kimberly D'Souza. Joining us this evening is the Minister of Sport and Community Development, Ms. Shamfa Cudjoe. Minister Cudjoe, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Kimberly. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Minister, during the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, around the world, there were conversations about some of the major sporting events being halted. I mean, here at home, only professional athletes and I believe national teams were allowed to train. But now that the sector is easing, and of course, we're seeing an easing of the COVID-19 restrictions, I mean, what has been the response thus far now that people can go back out and start to enjoy sport once again?
The response has been very positive. I was actually very pleased to see how many sporting groups, especially at the community level, they were ready. It seems like they had been planning and just waiting for the government to say go. So I think the sporting bodies at the community level, we call them SSOs or sport serving bodies, sport serving organizations, they were ready. And you see throughout Trinidad and Tobago, sporting groups, whether it's football, basketball, lawn tennis, they're out in their numbers. Or we did a phased rollout in January. We had a limited type of return to sport, allowing only vaccinated athletes, or allowing primarily vaccinated athletes and national governing bodies to participate, and vaccinated spectators. And soon after, about 4 or 5 weeks after, we rolled out further, and it was very well accepted and appreciated. And I think it gets better day after day, month after month. We've had leagues in football, like you had Ascension, you've had Tiger Tanks, Next Level. We even hosted the ICC Cricket Under 19 World Championships in January. A number of international countries came to Trinidad and Tobago, hundreds of players to participate. It was successfully executed, event-free, so, and to the point that the ICC is interested in coming back to Trinidad and Tobago to do more cricket competitions. Yeah. So for the most part, I think it has been well received. We look forward to hosting more regional and international games. So nationally, everybody's alive and kicking, and we are attracting international games later on in this year. We look forward also to hosting CPL once again. We're going to be hosting some of the games. So Trinidad and Tobago is alive and well.
Now, Minister, since you assumed office, I realize that there's a thrust for you to include more women and girls in sport, particularly in your Pink Rain campaign. So first of all, how important is this campaign? And as a woman yourself, what do you think we can achieve with something like this?
Well, I am an ardent advocate for female empowerment. The Pink Rain campaign seeks to promote sport for women and girls. We often hear that sport is a male-dominated area, so we have to make that extra effort and give that extra push to get more girls and more women engaged in sport. For me, it's not only about building awareness, it's about participation and, most importantly, leadership, to allow the female athlete or females who are involved in sport to climb to the top of their specific organizations and disciplines and open the doors to give opportunities to other women and girls. So this Pink Rain campaign has many different legs of it, if I may say. We have the one that is most dear to me, which is the Girls Run TT part. And what we've done with Girls Run TT, it's about road racing. I am a road racer, and I think if you can stand, you may be able to walk. And if you can walk, then you can run. So it gives women the opportunity to get up and move in your own time. It's a virtual race. We're doing it in collaboration with BAFA Sport, and this year it's in its second cycle. So last year we sponsored 300 girls, and this year there was more interest. So we sponsored 400 girls. Last year they covered 70 miles, which pretty much focused on the Magnificent Seven in Trinidad. This year we're focusing on Tobago, and we're covering 83 miles. The feedback has been very, very good. You've had a number of girls who have already completed their 83 miles. Some have gone beyond 100 miles, some beyond 300 miles. So the energy is alive and kicking, and these women, young and old, are out there doing their thing. We have other parts of the campaign which speak to helping young female athletes in life skills development. How do you dress for success? How do you handle the media, networking? And we have facilitators coming out on Saturdays to work with the younger female athlete, preparing them to not just survive, but to thrive in the world of sport and see careers and opportunities for income generation in sport and for personal and professional development. We also have conversations with women and girls in sport where female athletes come out and tell their stories. And we work particularly with the NGBs, the national governing bodies, to showcase their best female athletes and do sessions introducing different sporting disciplines to the wider public. So that initiative is only 2 years old, but it is one of our signature projects, and the feedback has been exceptional.
Now, Minister, you would be aware of the reports of 3 children who drowned in pools in separate incidents, but of course, all within 1 month. Now, given your community pool initiative, do you think there's a greater need for such a program?
Oh, definitely. The April Pools program started this year. And I must say, I was really surprised by the response. We have over 500 persons, children, women, senior citizens, even people with disabilities, because we're doing classes for children with disabilities, also have participated and have just gone the extra mile of learning, not just learning to swim, but developing their water competencies in life saving and many other areas as it relates to swimming. This is very important as it relates to safety and security for children, for adults also. And it goes beyond that. It's about developing athletic ability. And I think in communities that are underserved or underprivileged communities, these programs go a long way in helping young people in their personal development and getting them guidance. We've had tremendous support from the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, for instance, in Sovereign Trace, Lavant Hill. You have the TTDF doing exceptional work with the young people there, and they run a camp all through the year. So it's not only in April or from April to August. They're doing exceptional work there. They're doing good work in MOVA also. And we are adopting this type of template at community pools throughout. Right now we have community pools in Siparia, in Couva, Coquillet, La Hoqueta, Diego Martin, and the newer ones are Maloney, Mova, and there's one being built in the Malabar Dabadi area also. So it's all about bringing facilities to communities. You don't necessarily have to come to town, and taking programs that would help to improve the lives of our people, both the children and the adults. And I'm happy that this year we were able to partner with coaches and other stakeholders to even get to do work at a private pool in Chase Village, working specifically with the those who have disabilities. So this was intended to be April pools, but we are now working on our pools doing refurbishment. So we will have August pools because we felt that we needed to have a second round because people had been asking and trying to get in.
Now, Minister, part of your ministry is also community development. And under community development, there's also the mediation program. I just wanted to hear more about the community empowerment program and other initiatives under the mediation division.
The Mediation Division is a very unique division and the programs that they run, because you don't often hear about the work of the Mediation Division. It's not something that we really advertise, because the type of work that that they do, they try to intervene before situations get out of hand in communities, in an effort to reduce crime, also to work with people who have faced the criminal justice system as a type of restorative justice. And we also have expanded to provide guidance to single parents, to parents who have been divorced or separated, to try to provide the necessary assistance so that they wouldn't get into the type of confusion that would cause them to have to end up in court. So it's about promoting peace within the communities. We can tell you we've served X number or Y number clients, but we don't put the faces of the people out there. Or the template that is being used in Trinidad and Tobago is being used throughout the rest of the Caribbean and supporting the justice system in an exceptional way. So they are doing really, really good work. There are even parent groups throughout Trinidad and Tobago supported by the mediation unit. And we have a male development group, male support groups, where we provide assistance to men, helping them to establish and embrace their role as men, as fathers in society. So that's a critical part of our offerings in the ministry under the Community Development Division.
Now, another big event hosted by the ministry is the Prime Minister's Best Village competition. I mean, it must be fun to be returning to that pre-pandemic crowd. How has this been going thus far?
Best Village has been such an important part of our culture, our very existence, a part of our identity, of who we are as Trinbagonians. It is as old as the country is. A matter of fact, we got independence in 1962, and Best Village was introduced by Dr. Eric Williams in 1963 as a way of promoting national identity and community spirit, national pride, healthy competition, allowing residents to embrace their culture, but to see themselves as a part of this beautiful, diverse whole called Trinidad and Tobago. Next year, we celebrate 60 years. Over the past 2 years, it was a little difficult to have Best Village in the way in which we're accustomed. Best Village and the Best Village community is a very touchy-feely community.
They are. They are.
Yes, so
yes.
we know how important it is to preserve the culture, yes, to showcase the arts and crafts and everything that's exciting about Best Village, but we couldn't keep people socially distant. When they come out to dance and practice, they end up in very tight circles. So we couldn't show off the culture like we wanted to last year. This year, we have made our visits to the different communities. We have 190 groups registered to participate in Best Village this year. We've already completed our Carnival Traditions part in February. We had the Best Written Script taking place in March, and we are now doing the folk part of it in August. You'll see 21 girls have already registered to vie for Miss Larian Rivet, but only 12 would make it to the finals. So I'm excited about showcasing Trinidad and Tobago in all its glory through the Best Village program. We have the Grow It Yourself. The Grow It Yourself Kitchen Garden Competition is a new competition under the Best Village.
But it's taking off.
Banner. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. This is our second year of executing Grow It Yourself. And it's encouraging individuals and families to plan to your plate, to invest in food security, to watch your budget as it relates to buying food and so on, and to look at planting and agriculture as a part of our culture, developing your skills in such a way that you can produce excess at a good quality that you can contribute to your neighbors, or you can sell in community green markets and so on, because you see the whole community green market thing is taking off. We are really happy about that. NAMDEFCO is doing outstanding work, and all craft markets would be partnering with NAMDEFCO and other entities to showcase not only the agriculture side, but what we're also doing in handicraft. So the Best Village competition has contributed so much to the lives and livelihood of Trinbagonians. Any corner of this country you go, you can find somebody who have advanced or developed their skills or gotten some exciting opportunity through Prime Minister's Best Village competition. And as we cruise into 60 years, we're excited about showing off all that Trinidad and Tobago has to offer as it relates to culture, entrepreneurship, agriculture, and all that is lovely, exciting, and enchanting about Best Village.
Minister, while the Ministry of Sport and Community Development is very active and we're hearing the work that they're doing, we can't ignore the complaints. And I think one of the complaints in the public domain currently is that some people believe that the ministry has faulted on maintaining some of the sporting facilities. How do you respond to that? And is this true?
Maintenance of the facilities has always been a challenge throughout our history, then and now. So when we asked UDCUT to examine and assess, let's say Hazel Crawford and Jean Pierre Complex, one of the recommendations is that we need to break this thing down and start over from scratch.
Now, when you say break it down, you mean break down?
Tear it down.
Ooh,
because it would cost us more to do the type of refurbishment that is needed to bring it to a world-class facility in this day and age. It would cost us more to refurbish than to break down and rebuild. But we are also adding new facilities to other communities. You have the Diego Martin Regional Complex, which was one of the venues for hosting the ICC cricket. Yes, we also built the Mahaika sporting facility, the Moruga sporting facility, and we have been building new community pools. We continue to maintain facilities like the Atto Bolden Stadium. We're getting ready to do work at Manny Ramjan and Larry Gomes. We've already started a full refurbishment of Dwight York Stadium. You would have noted that we just hosted the Trinidad and Tobago versus Guyana women's game. Yeah. And that's the first time Tobago had experienced a game of that nature. So we continue to do our work from facility to facility, and in some cases, even working with the international parent bodies of the national governing body to make these facilities centers of development for the American region. So, for instance, the National Cycling Center, the National Aquatic Center, we have the Racket Center, and we are working hand in hand with FINA, with International Tennis Federation, and so on, to make these centers, or to make these facilities centers of development for the Central American region. So the work continues, and we must remember that all of this cost rests on the taxpayers, rests on the government. In many other countries, there's some sort of public-private partnership with some private entity. But in Trinidad and Tobago, we build, we maintain, and then when sporting bodies want to use the facilities, they write to you asking you to waive the fees. So at the end of the day, it's very, very, very costly to maintain, and we have to examine public-private partnership and see what are the pros and the cons, and we have to find ways to utilize these facilities better. Because as you travel from community to community, everybody wants a facility in their community, of course, but are they generating activities to make this thing make sense? Yeah. And they taking care of these facilities? Because we, as the members in the community, we have a duty to generate activity. We also have a duty to maintain and preserve what the taxpayer of Trinidad and Tobago have gifted to us. But we are doing the very best that we can with the resources at hand. In Trinidad and Tobago, the government pays for just about everything. So we have to stretch the dollar and do the best that we can and ask for the cooperation of the public and the sporting fraternity also.
Now, Minister, the FIFA World Cup will be held this year. As much as we would have loved to see our Warriors on the field, unfortunately, they did not qualify. But as a Minister of Sport, do you think enough is being done to support or to promote that sport of football?
Football has received tremendous support from the Ministry of Sport over the years, whether it's Sport and Community Development, Sport and Youth Affairs, Ministry of Sport. In whatever dispensation, we've continued to invest in football. And if you check the records, football is among the top 5 as it relates to receiving funding. National governing bodies receiving funding in Trinidad and Tobago. And that's just talking about TTFA. Separate and apart from the contributions and the investment that had been made in leagues like Pro League, the little bit, the support given to Super League, what we're doing at secondary football league level, so at the end of the day, we as government, we contribute to the development of the sport, opportunities provided to the youngsters and all the other benefits that football and sport bring to Trinidad and Tobago in our communities and so on. I think that we have experienced mismanagement and malmanagement by TTFA, or should I say by the national governing body over the years. This is decades of problems. And FIFA intervened and found it necessary to establish a normalization committee, and they are now charged with the responsibility to get football back into shape and return to a greater level of normalcy and decency in conducting their business in Trinidad and Tobago. So we support whatever they are doing towards getting football back to its former glory.
But Minister, I want to piggyback on that because we have been seeing it played out in the media, that controversy with the TTFA. I mean, do you think that was, maybe put a dent on us qualifying for the World Cup?
Our guys got out there and they played. These young men go out there game after game and they give their very best. So I salute them. Every day won't be winning day. Somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. That's what sport is all about. There are many different views and perspectives as to how and why and if I coulda, shoulda, like we like to say. But I will have to trust that the TTFA and their team would have done the best that they could have with the resources. And I dare not say anything untoward about the effort of our young men and women, because I get to interact with these athletes from day to day, and they are out there giving their best shot amidst all the confusion. There are some of them who had monies owed to them and that type of thing, and they continue to go out there and play hard with all their heart and soul for the red, white, and black. The least I can do is salute and continue to offer my support and continue to encourage them, because we have some athletes that are one of a kind in all different disciplines. They go out there and they show the world the best of Trinidad and Tobago.
Now, Minister, shifting gears a bit, what structure or system is in place to financially support our elite athletes?
The ministry has the Elite Athlete Assistant Program, and that program has been in existence since 2006. When the Elite Athlete Assistance Program was developed, it was we had better revenue flows into Trinidad and Tobago, and the intention was to run it for, I think it was 2 or 4 Olympic cycles. those 2 and 4 Olympic cycles have long passed, but we kept the program running in order to provide the necessary assistance to our athletes. Of course, you have rules, you have procedures, there's a certain time for application, and we try to encourage athletes to apply within that time. In the first quarter of the year. This year, we have at least 40 elite athletes and only 12 have applied. 7 applied on time and 5 applied outside of the deadline. We're still considering their applications, but interestingly, only 12 of the 40 have applied. You had athletes like Dylan Carter, Nicholas Paul, Nigel Paul, Michelle Liayi, and the list goes on, receiving elite athlete assistance. You had Portia Warren. She was one of the first to receive her $187,000. You have athletes receiving $250,000 towards their support. It's for their nutrition, their supplies, massages,
Vanessa,
physical
this is
activities.
annual or this is
Annually, yeah, $250,000 from the ministry, and some people also go on to other entities and get more funds. Michelle Liayi just received $187,000, and then on top of that, when you medal in the regional and international games, you get rewards and incentives money. That's a part of the new National Incentives Program or the new National Sport Policy 2017 to 2027. So on top of that, you had athletes like Carter, Paul receiving an additional amount of money over $200,000 each and so on for their medals. So we continue to provide that support, and we can only hope that these athletes put these funds into good use. And it may not cover all the expenses. It's not intended to cover all your expenses. It's intended to provide the necessary assistance courtesy the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago, courtesy the government of Trinidad and Tobago. From 2006 to this day, no matter what financial troubles or economic situation, we kept that program running. It is still running, and we continue to provide that necessary assistance to the athletes who apply, who fill out their forms, who submit their necessary documents, who are still active.
Vanessa,
And
I
you are
realize
giving
that you're
your time.
pointedly
Yes.
pointing out the criteria.
Yes. And all the guidelines are on the ministry's website. We are spending taxpayers' dollars. And if you make a mistake, you have to answer as to what did you do, how, why, when. So we go through the process and we ask athletes and their managers who also receive fees and payments through the funding granted to the athletes. If you're paid to manage an athlete, manage the athlete and help them, you know. So it's about hand-holding and providing guidance. We have workshops to help the athletes and their managers also.
Now, Minister, before we close, I just have to ask, what has been your biggest challenge thus far?
I think funding, no second guessing about that, because you travel from community to community and you meet athletes and you see the different problems and challenges, and you want to fix all. You want to fix all. You want to fix every facility. You want to make sure there's money in the hands of every sporting group, every little athlete who has some dream or aspiration to stand on the podium or to compete internationally. But just like any other ministry, funding isn't sufficient to do all that we in Trinidad and Tobago want to do. You know, the Ministry of Finance has to weigh the options and look at the different areas. But at the end of the day, whatever allocation we receive, we do the very best that we can with the resources at hand. I think another challenge is getting the right staffing, the sport professionals to run the programs in the ministry and at the different sporting bodies. Because there are a lot of people out there talking about what should happen in sport and who's doing what right and who's doing what wrong. But when you advertise positions, some of the applications you see coming in, you have all that courage out there to talk all that you're talking, and you don't have the courage to apply for the job. Apply for the job. Come and help us. Give it your best shot, just like we are doing in the ministry. So it's a labor of love. It's a labor of love for people within the fraternity, in the ministry, and in the communities. And some of them are volunteering and they don't know how to run sport like a business.
Minister Cudjoe, thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Delving Deeper.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me, Kimberly. Thank you for having me, Trinidad and Tobago. It's been a pleasure.
Now join us at the same time next week on this station for another edition of Delving Deeper. I am Kimberly D'Souza, and on behalf of the crew, have a good night.